All right, so me and Alejandro are up in Denver. You really can't see it, but I bought a 1JZ non-VVTi SC300. Has 10 coilovers, and the guy's just done loading it up. So, and the guy's house that had it, he had all kinds of cool cars like R32 and stuff, and so we're gonna be heading back to Pueblo, and this thing will be there by the time we get back. I am back at the shop. I didn't record much, but me and Alejandro went up to Denver and I picked up a new little project. So I did have the 2J. I bought that Borg Warner EFR kit, and it came with an exhaust and all this stuff. And then I decided what would be the easiest way to get that 2J on a dyno. And you know, it turns out that an SC300 is that way. So this car is already turbo. It's a 1J non-VVTi, has pretty much intercooler piping, which I'm going to use on the 2J. I'm going to have to do some different stuff with the hot side and everything, but it pretty much will bolt in. It's a automatic car right now. Who knows what happened to it, but you know, it's literally I'm not exactly sure what was going on with this car. So I bought it from a guy that was selling it for a lady. So, well, actually I thought it was a girl. So he thought it was a girl because he never met the lady. So it was some 47-year-old lady that had this car with a 1J non-VVTi turbo. The wiring on it is, I don't know, there's crazy stuff going. This is a ground that goes into here, and there's wires here, and when the car is running, it kind of smells like burning electronics a little bit when I just pulled it in. So I'm going to have to kind of go through it, figure out what's going on with it. The engine runs really nice. When I talked to him on the phone and everything, he told me that the car didn't run. So I went up there with a can of ether, compression tester, pretty much just a little thing of tools, pretty much this right here. So I brought impact, compression tester, some sockets. I was planning on going to U-Pull, but they wouldn't let us in because I guess we got there too late. But went up there, sprayed some ether on that HKS air filter, and he was like, the thing doesn't run. Put a battery in it, fired right up. So I was like, well, that's nice. At least it doesn't have a knock. Let's check the compression. Check the compression. It's 150, 155 across all 6 cylinders. I was like, wow, that's not too bad. So then I was like, what will you take for it? So I got this thing, $2,200. I was like, yeah, I mean, that's not too bad of a deal. So then I'm coming, he told me that. So he really didn't know exactly what was on this car, and I still probably am gonna find some stuff. So I was like, and it has wheels, drilled and slotted rotors. I was like, what suspension is on it? So he told me that, well, I think it's on drop springs. I was like, well, that's not too horrible and whatnot. But then I go down here and I'm like, well, let's see what kind of springs they are. Here, let's see if you guys, here, let me turn this around so I can make sure I'm getting a decent shot. I'm like, what kind of springs are they on? Yeah, it's on Tang coilovers. So, yeah, that was a plus too. So I got, hold on, this light thing, the light app. So I ended up getting an SC300 with a 1J non-VVTi that runs, good compression, has some stuff done to it, some wheels, which I'm probably not going to use, Tang coilovers, Tang flex coilovers, monoflexes, and I don't know, maybe the diff might be LSD, it might be welded. I don't know exactly what's going on with this car because I kind of just bought it and I went up there and looked at it. I was like, well, you know, things are kind of just how they go. The interior is actually pretty decent. I really didn't check it out too much, But I mean, you know, it has like the door panels aren't like great or anything. The seats, I mean, that seat's not bad. The leather's not cracked. I'm probably not gonna keep them in there. You know, there's some those coils over there are like high performance coils from Australia. Yeah, it really smells like electronics in here now. I don't know what's going on. So there's like a wire hanging down right there. So, I mean, this thing definitely has some stuff going on that probably needs to be looked into. Like, there's wires coming out right there. So I'm kind of wondering what this, why it smells like electronics right now. But yeah, so it's definitely, I wonder what's in the, if there's anything in the trunk. Let's see if there's anything in the trunk. I looked around, I found a box in the trunk. I hadn't opened the trunk yet. It had like some Alpine speakers. It had the wrenches for the tank coilovers. So the tank coilovers must be relatively, I think they're probably brand new. They've probably never even been driven on, other than, I mean, they probably maybe put a couple 100 miles on them, because it doesn't sound like this car has ever ran really well. And I've never heard of these wheels. Titano. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not exactly sure about this car. I mean, it's kind of tight because it has some decent parts on it, and I got it for a decent price. So I got it for a decent price. I mean, it has, looks like new wheels, new tires. The JZ's probably relatively new as well. So we'll see. I want the AC to work is one thing, so I'm going to keep the condenser. I need to get the brackets. I might get rid of this Misha piece of crap radiator. I don't. That's not even a Mishimoto. It's like some crazy thing. Maybe this is actually a good thing. What is this? A Yonkata. I'm sure this is Chinese. So yeah, this thing, I don't know about that, but need to definitely put the brackets in, and then I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, there's some wiring gremlins going on in this thing, so I'm gonna figure it out and probably get it so it rips well, and then probably after a little bit yank the engine and stuff out and put that wonderful 2J in. Alright, so I'm done for tonight. I pulled this janky fan wiring out of the interior, and now it doesn't really smell like some electrical wiring is cooking. It starts up, idles really nice. You have to start up with ether, and then it runs smooth, it'll rev and everything. But I feel like it may have maybe a boost leak. They thought it was an issue with the fuel pump. It may be. Alright, so the Lexus is still kind of idling weird. I'm guessing it's not a fuel pump issue, but I'm going to check the fuel pressure to just make sure that it isn't a fuel pump. I deleted there's like this little fuel pump control unit that's in there. I deleted that, so you just pretty much loop the two wires. Alright, so all you do, so that's the plug for it, and you just, that green and black and red wire, you just connect them. That loops the fuel pump. So then then the fuel pump is no longer regulated by this fuel pump control module, and you get full 12 volts, whatever the battery is providing, to the fuel pump, which is good because the ECU regulates the fuel pump down and does all kinds of crazy stuff. So getting rid of that is actually a good thing for most of these turbo swaps, because then you don't have to worry about your engine leaning out and blowing up. All right, so I took the banjo bolt off down there. Right there you could see the line right there. Fuel pressure test kit that we have doesn't have the right size banjo bolt. I'm going to drill this out. Hold on, let's make sure this. So I'm going to have to drill it from the other side, but I'll start it off with about that size drill bit, get the hole out, then drill this size halfway through, tap it with a 3/8 tap. I have a little fitting right there I could clamp onto it, and then I'll be able to actually test the fuel pressure with the fuel pressure gauge and see if I'm getting consistent fuel pressure. Alright, so this is kind of what I ended up making to check the fuel pressure. It's just this factory banjo bolt, and then it's just an Aeromotive fuel pressure gauge, and that just gave me the ability to actually check to see what the pressure was using like the stock banjo line and like the whole like stock JZ setup. So came in handy. So it is going into the fuel pressure regulator box. So next time we ever need to check fuel pressure on like something that's import. Alright, you can see down there that I made like a fuel pressure gauge banjo bolt that goes into the stock JZ fuel line, and then just kind of having some issues with I thought I had bad fuel pressure, but it ended up that it's at like 37, 38 with the vacuum line on. I pulled the vacuum line off the fuel pressure regulator, bumped it up to 40 psi. I looked at the actual ECU, it's under the carpet, to see if what was going on with the wiring, and other than that, that ground wire just hanging down there, which it doesn't look like it does anything. Everything else seemed pretty decent. On the harness, I'll probably have to look into some other stuff and kind of figure out what is going on with this thing. It just has like a weird idle almost. It just kind of like erratically like misses kind of, but I pulled all the injectors one at a time while it was running, and each one kind of lowered the idle. So I'm guessing that all the coils are probably okay too. Maybe the spark plugs need to be replaced or something like that. Maybe something with wiring. But, you know, since there's some janky wiring going on, might as well check all the options. Okay, so Trevor said that there's some issues with these ECUs and capacitors going bad. So I pulled the ECU out, pulled the covers on it, and it does look like it does have a bad capacitor. So you can see right here, turn this light on. Okay, lift that up. So right there, hold on. Right there, that little mini capacitor is right there, that mini capacitor is exploded, and it doesn't look like it damages the board. So all I should have to do is replace that capacitor, and probably the idle issue that it has will go away, because whatever that capacitor goes to is definitely not working, probably causing this whole like rev cutout thing that's going on. So hopefully I'm gonna call my friend up, see if he has a capacitor, and maybe I could go over to his house and fix it. If not, I'll just have to order the right size capacitor, and then I'll order like an upgraded one so it doesn't burn out again, and then it should run, and it should hopefully rip. But I'm glad I figured it out. Once I like pulled the ECU out, and I was just about like, before I took it out, it's holding it in my hand, and you could just like, it smelled like burning electronics. So yeah, it was the issue, and that's probably what's causing this whole issue with this car. And it's kind of nice because I like a 1 cent capacitor, got me a really good deal on a car. Okay, so I got the capacitor out. It is a 33 UF 35V 105C 5mm capacitor. I ordered like 20 of them for $5, so if I ever need to replace another one, I'll have some of them just as spares. And then all you have to do is solder a new one in, as long as your board isn't too badly burnt, and I'll kind of show that. So, I mean, pretty much like a 15-cent fix to fix this thing. And this little guy right here just burned out. You can see right there it's all black, and the board was all black, and the ECU just stinks. But I mean, once I replace the capacitor, it should work. I almost want to open up this fuel pump controller, and it might have one of these capacitors in it that I could rob out of it, and then it'd be a free fix almost. So if you're not gonna plan on using your fuel pump controller like module thing, and you need a capacitor for the ECU, there is one right there. I'm gonna pull it out and solder it into the ECU over there and plug it back in, and everything should work. The car should run, and maybe I could take it for a rip tonight, the first maiden voyage under like full power and everything. So we'll see what happens. You got this random guy just driving his drag car on the street. Hell yeah, man. Fucking tight. Okay, so you can see right there the burn spot next to that. Good capacitor, and that's the one that is going to need to be changed out. I already pulled it, so there's not a capacitor currently there. What you're going to need to do this is let me open this one up, and you probably won't be able to see it because the zoom on this camera isn't that intense. So I already opened this one up, and all ECU should have one of these capacitors in there. So anybody that probably wanted this Honda ECU is probably gonna be sad because I'm destroying it. Okay, so as you can see right here, these two capacitors are 33 UF, 35 volt, 5mm capacitors. There's another one under this like rail right here. So what I'm gonna do is just desolder one of those, because all I need is one, and then solder it onto this one. So what you need is that capacitor. Either order off eBay, DigiKey, get an old ECU that you don't need, or an ECU from the like junkyard, whatever. Wherever you get it, you just need one of those capacitors. You'll also need some. The higher the percentage of alcohol, the better. You're gonna need it to clean the board. I'm gonna clean up where the burn spot is to just verify that there's no other damaged circuitry. And you'll need a Q-tip. You just dump it in, dip it in, or squirt it on, or whatever, the Q-tip, and then you just swab the board. I'll kind of show you that, and yeah, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully I can fix that ECU, and my JZ will be able to run, drive, and not have any further issues with this capacitor. I'm sure what happened with the capacitor was they usually end up leaking. The cap starts to leak, and then it just once that happens, pretty much it's a downhill spiral from there, and they pretty much just either burn out or they do not function. So if you have a strange idle issue, it's probably the capacitor. I just go open your ECU, check it out, and you'll know right away, because you'll see either it leaking on the outside. There shouldn't be any external like leakage, or the capacitor should look very clean. So it'll either be burnt or leaking. So just lift the lid up on this one. You're going to do all the soldering from the back anyway. This is the JZ ECU. I'm going to clean up the contacts just so I know for sure that there was no contamination. So put a little bit of alcohol on this and just kind of clean up all the Okay, I'm just cleaning up all the smoke that was let out of that capacitor. And once you let the smoke out, they're no good anymore. So you could see all the stuff from the capacitor that was leaking and all the smoke that got let out. It is now clean. Okay, so I was looking at the board after I cleaned it up, and you could see those two traces right there that are burnt. So I pulled that other capacitor so I could fix the traces on the board. And I'm glad I did, because this capacitor, see how it's all like bulged out on the bottom? I noticed before it was kind of a little bit bulged. Any capacitors that are bulged usually are going to fail, but I wasn't going to replace it. But now I'm going to replace it. So hopefully this ECU right here has the same capacitor, and maybe I'll be lucky. It's a 47, what is it, a 47 UF 63 volt. So hopefully I get lucky. Alright, so I'm getting ready for the drift event. Just picking my truck up right now. I need to go over to Trevor's house. He's let me borrow his trailer. I also need to grab the my helmet, and I don't know, I might have to go grab a pair of tires as well. I'll have to see about that. Okay, so just unloading the G35. I was looking at it, and when I was at the track I was looking at, my camera was dead. I forgot to charge it. So when me and Trevor, I had this issue before, so this driver's side rear wheel is really towed out. So you know, you can see right there it's really towed out. And my friend was saying those kinetics, the arms are really like bad, because they always come loose, and you can never like keep them in alignment and all kinds of stuff. So I adjusted it, and I had the toe on both sides nice, and I went for a few laps with it, but and had no issues. And then the reason I think this happened was when me and Trevor went to go tandem, we went around the track and we didn't drift. So I think because it's more left turns than right turns, and I never have issues with the other side coming loose, but this side, maybe it's because it's not a reverse thread or something. Not exactly sure, but I think when we drove around the track, it pretty much is exactly where it's at. But yeah, I think this was the whole issue. When I tried to initiate it, it was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm not exactly sure why it keeps coming loose, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to Nissan. I'll probably get some upper control arms and adjustable ones. I'll take it to my friend at Nissan, have him align it, and then I'm just gonna put some tack welds on those things so they can't come loose. I really haven't looked at it too much, but this is the end of the video, and let me know what you guys think of this project. But I think I'm probably going to drive it with the 1J in it for just a little bit, just so I could rip it around, and then I'll get this 2J all nice and ready and then throw that in there. So this 2J didn't have any coils with it, but this engine came with another set of actually really expensive coils. I mean, I think they're like $1,000 or something for these stupid things. So it came with these, and they're like Super Spark or something like that. But I think they're like $1,000. But that engine didn't have any coils. I'm gonna throw these coils in that engine and just leave the stock coils in this one. But I pretty much am gonna use this cold pipe and this intercooler pipe right here is gonna get changed up because it's gonna actually go to the Borg-Warner EFR, that beautiful turbo right there, and see if we can make some decent numbers with it. But other than that, I probably need to look into some of the ECU wiring, kind of just go over the car a little bit, put some brackets on the radiator, and put a different cap on the radiator because that cap is just leaking. You could tell all the stuff, it must have just been like spewing out of it. Those caps are worthless anyway. And just some random stuff, clean it up a little bit, adjust the coils probably once I do end up trading this. Maybe get some different wheels, but those aren't too bad. The offset on them's horrible and rubbish. But yeah, I need to also pull the front bumper. The intercooler is held up by bungee cords. I mean, whoever put this car together was probably not very mechanically inclined, and it's just kind of hanging there. So I'll weld some brackets on there, weld up some intercooler pipes to work with the EFR on the hot side, and then need to also figure out about what tranny I'm going to run. Well, I know what tranny I'm going to use. In the beginning, I'll probably put the 2J in there with the automatic until it blows up. Then I'll pull the tranny. Then after I pull the tranny, I already ordered today a 370Z, whatever, the internal slave one, the Nismo, with uprev and all that fancy stuff. But you know, use uprev, but those are the best trannies to get. $500 shipped. So I don't know why everybody's asking. I mean, I see posts, people trying to get as much as V160s for the 370Z trannies. They're a $500 6-speed all day long, $500 to $800. The one I got, well, the one I have coming is like 50,000 mile tranny, and it has a warranty and all that stuff. But I wouldn't get a rebuilt one. Jesse got a rebuilt one, which was supposed to be the CD09. It ended up being like maybe they put a cover on there or something, and because he has some issues with it going into gear and all that stuff. He hasn't driven his car in a while, so he really hasn't been around to complain about it. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped about this project. I want to see what numbers that EFR is going to put down. Well, we know what numbers it's going to put down. The 2J is going to make like 440 something, but the big part that I'm trying to show is the where it spools and how nice the dyno graph is. So it'll be the same dyno that Trevor dynoed his car on with the Garrett Gen 2 GTX. So it'll be 2J, just different turbos, and one will be non-VVTi. Mine is non-VVTi, his is. If that's that big of a deal to like people when they watch the video, I'll buy a VVTi, bolt all the stuff up to it, and put down some numbers and see what happens. But I'm pretty excited to probably tomorrow I'll figure out what the issue with this thing is, idling and everything, and starting up and running and driving and stuff like that. And then once I do that, I'll take it for a rip, see if it'll spin the tires. I'm sure it will. I'm not exactly sure what's done to this engine, because it almost seems like because it had the higher output coils. I'm pretty sure it has 650cc injectors in it. Without flow testing them, I never know, but I feel like that's maybe what it is. It has coilovers. It has who knows? I think that's a no-name radiator, but it may be a decent radiator. It looks pretty decent quality. But yeah, I don't have a parts list. I don't have any receipts, so I could see some name brand parts, and it just seems like there might be more behind this engine. Let me know what you guys think of this whole SC300 project. On my Instagram, a few people were actually pretty excited about it, and if you like the project, like the video, share it, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe. And to all my subscribers that are subscribed, I'm glad I'm to 5,000 subscribers. So thanks for watching and supporting me. So see you guys next time.